Good morning. Welcome to the Captain's Chat. Another awesome edition. We have Medical Director in ATC for USAWR. Been with the program longer than almost anyone with our program today, Jim Murdock. So really excited for our conversation. Hey, real quick, we do have the giving games going on. So I'm sure you've seen it all over our social media as well as Team USA social media, where the giving games is 21 different sports in the Olympics and Paralympics for athletes. We don't have government funding. There is funding that's just fundraised the old-fashioned way, and throughout this next year, we're going to need your help. So it'd be awesome if you can go to giving-games.com, giving-games.com to check that out. And you can also text really easily, Giving Games, all capital letters, to 243-725, Giving Games 243-725 to help us out throughout the next year and getting us to Tokyo and hopefully getting on top of that podium next year. So that's the plan for us. And thank you guys for your support already. Thank you guys so much for watching the show and watching all these awesome athletes. So it's an awesome article about Jeff Butler, an incredible mind, and headed to Stanford right after the games next year. So continue to look out for that. Giving Games 243-725. Giving-games.com to check that out as well. So you can see leaderboards, you can see all kinds of fun things there to be able to be interactive with the Giving Games. There's sweepstakes as well, some really cool sweepstakes. So go over there, check that out, and see what that's all about. So we're going to invite Jim in, get started. He's really shy. He doesn't really like to talk very much. So hopefully just be nice to him on the comments today. Dirty, how you doing?
Very good, thank you.
Yeah.
Seriously, thank you for having me on. This is really, I'm really looking forward to this. This is fun.
Absolutely, man. It's great to have you on. It took a while. I had to send you a telegram and then a letter, and then you also said, hey, if you can just fly a plane over with a banner of how I'm supposed to sign up for this, that would be
right. Well, northern Vermont, it takes a while for things to get up here. So, yeah, technology a little behind.
Exactly. Yeah. Good old Vermont. Hey, so how's the summer been going? What's been happening?
It actually has been very busy. Very busy. I'm doing a lot of projects around the house. My wife and I had this mindset before all this started that we were going to possibly move. So I had all these projects lined up, and so I've been doing those. But I'm involved in quite a few other things. I'm on a national committee with my association, Governmental Affairs, and like everything, things are in disarray. So what our committee does is help get legislative money to the states. And we're just trying to get that reorganized. So I coordinate with the 6 New England states, trying to get them legislative help, organizational component, and hopefully get them some funding. So I've been doing that. I recently was on medical advisory committee or board with the International Wheelchair Rugby Federation to come up with guidelines for us to reopen, and that was eye-opening. It was really, really interesting. A lot of fun, a little bit of work, but it was really a lot of fun. Meeting and talking with a lot of other medical professionals around the world. So I'm not a guy who just lays around, sits around, been staying busy. So,
have you spent more time in the office or in the basement getting to projects? Good mix.
I've been doing some stuff in the basement, but I've been doing a lot of outdoor, a lot of yard work. I've rebuilt a deck, put in 2 retaining walls, redid the gardens, building a patio, building a shed.
Gosh.
Yes.
Wow.
A little busy.
Busy. Pretty much everyone that's listening do better, because Dirty's on 15 committees and still getting everything done. It's amazing. So real quick, I wanted to ask you, well, I guess you retired recently,
right?
But it seems like you're just as busy or busier. Do you miss the day-to-day of what you did before, or now that you're getting to do a lot of different things that maybe you didn't get to do before with the time? What's that been like?
Right. Well, I've been retired for 2 years. And again, my real job before was I was in academics. I was a program director. I was a chair of the department. I'll be honest, I do not miss the administrative stuff. That wasn't fun. I do miss the students. I do miss the teaching, the interaction, the daily interaction with colleagues. I have 3 lovely dogs. They just don't give me the stimulation mentally. I do miss that.
Yeah.
But I would say that academic challenge, I do miss that. And, the everyday wondering, how am I going to get challenged by students? And that was a lot of fun. Do I miss work? I don't think so, because I'm, like you said, I'm still busy. I'm still engaged in my profession. I've actually it's given me a lot more time to do things with you guys. Doing a lot more online stuff. If we could ever get back together and train, it would be great.
Yeah.
The concept of retirement is, if I could have done this 20 years ago, I would have done this 20 years ago. But now I'd stay busy. I'm not looking for, just to do nothing. So.
Right. Yeah. No one ever says, I really wish I could go back and do more paperwork. Like it does. Yeah.
Definitely do not miss that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want the listeners to know a little bit about you. So you've been a part of the program longer than I think everyone except Gumby, or before Gumby, or
just Gumby.
Yeah. And so way back when, what drew you to the sport? How did this happen? How did this relationship happen?
It was a total fluke. I'll be honest with you. So I'd been part of United States Olympic Sports Medicine Committee back in the day. Started probably in the late '90s. Did some things with them, and then in 2002, I think it was 2002 or 2000, I forget. I did my official internship with them, and I did it up in northern Michigan in Marquette. Yeah. And I got, and at that point, USA Boxing was up there. So we had some training camp, and I was up there 2.5 weeks. And then from there, I got picked to go with USA Boxing in 2003 to the Titan Games, which was a new concept, international games for combat sports. And I was with USA Boxing.
Okay.
And then the team physician for boxing got picked to go to Athens as the medical director. And he called me. He says, "Hey, I got picked. More than likely you're going. This is going to be awesome." I get a letter from the USOC. They go, "Hey, congratulations. You've been picked to go to Athens with U.S. wheelchair rugby to the Paralympics." And I'm like, "What? I don't know who this is."
Yeah.
This is a joke, right? This is someone pulling my chain. I called Colorado Springs. They go, "Oh, hey, no, great. Congratulations. You are so lucky." I'm going, "What?" They go, "Yeah, we need someone to cover this team. Could you go?" I'm like, I thought I was going with boxing. "Yeah, no. Yeah, you have to do this." I said, they go, "Listen, they have a training camp in Lake Placid, which is about 40 minutes from where I live.
Yeah.
Go over, see what you think, meet the guys. And if it doesn't work, you can just stay home." So I knew nobody.
Yeah.
Back then, John Bishop was the team leader.
Okay. So he was in Mandy's position back then.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he calls me. He goes, "Hey, great. Looking forward to meeting you." And I'm like, "Can you tell me something about this game sport?" He goes, "You'll just see when you get here. Show up at Lake Placid."
That's what every smart person in wheelchair rugby does too. Like, don't tell them about us. Just get them in here.
Yeah. So I show up, and and I go into this room, and it's like I walk in, and everybody's like,
on a blind date. Like, you've never seen the sport before, right? I mean, you're on a blind date. Yeah.
Never knew any of these guys, and I'm like, this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
But to their credit, those guys were phenomenal. They just said, "Hey, listen, this is what you do. This is what you do." And back then we had a nurse, 2 physical therapists, an athletic trainer, and the athletic trainer who I took their place of. So, and they were fantastic too. They just said, "Hey, this is what it's all about." So so it wasn't until like the next afternoon we got on the court.
Hold on. You had 2 nurses, 2 physical therapists,
One nurse, 2 PTs, and an ATC. That was the medical staff.
We still have that now. It's just all their names are Jim.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So I hadn't seen it, go to the first practice, and I'm like, what the, guys are just doing, and I have nothing to do, and I'm just watching. And then when they start, just start hitting, I'm like, oh my God,
yeah.
This is awesome. And they come over and say, listen, they're not going to get hurt. I go, who cares? This is great. And I just fell in love with it. And, and I think a lot of it too is, the guys included me. They brought me right in. They say, hey, listen, can you do this? Can you do this? We get thoughts on this. So they accepted me without any, background. And I think they knew that I was going to, potentially go to Athens with them if it worked out. So, and that's how it started. And been in love with it since. And that was 2004.
2004. Wow.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. That's a great story. Phenomenal. He would. Oh, Kelly says he's a little scared of us. Yeah.
I was. Well, yeah. Well, the staff. I was scared of the staff. Yeah. Collectively, I thought they were going to kill me, but no, it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. That's such a great story. Hey, so like what you did for boxing is a lot different than what you do for wheelchair rugby, I would imagine. Right. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you've been a long time as an ATC in a lot of different facets and leadership and everything like that. But there are 100 different things you do at camp. And I mean, our staff is run thin because there's just not a lot. I mean, there's just not a lot of you. And so it's doing this, and then like, and I was kind of thinking about what you do. And then I was thinking like a lot of times we come to your room at night at a tournament or at camp, and it's like half the time you're a counselor, or you're like, it's fun to go into Dirty's room and kind of air it out a little bit and see what's going on, or just chat or whatever. And it's like, yeah, I can get some treatment, but it's, like really in here to just take a deep breath and talk to you. So like, explain what maybe a typical day would look like, or a typical like service time for when we're in there getting treatment, what that looks like. Cause you're not taping ankles. I don't think maybe along the line, but yeah.
No, I think that one of the things that I've always enjoyed about this, and you mentioned it too, is the staff. We've got just tremendous people, and it's a collection of people who are willing to do anything to get the job done. It's not different people in silos saying I only do this, and I think that's one of the things that I've always enjoyed too, is being involved in multiple aspects of a system. And again, keeping busy. I couldn't just be. Honestly, I couldn't just sit there and just watch things happen.
Yeah.
But typically, the biggest part of my job, especially at camps, is, it's really treatment and care. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time for preventative components.
Right.
But I think one of the parts that's really helped me as a clinician is my I would say my dependence on manual therapy, having to be able to do, again, not having a lot of equipment, but, learn more about the body with regards to massage, stretching, muscle release, trigger point therapy, wound care. I don't think people understand or realize the amount of trauma that your guy's body takes.
Yeah.
Even though they're in a chair. Well, the chair beats you up probably more than anything else. So that care and manual muscle and therapy components, it's, and again, it sounds like it's not complex, but it's ongoing. It's not a treatment you can do for like 2 minutes. So when you have 14 or 15 guys, fortunately, some will stay healthy, but it keeps you busy because our time frames to do treatments are minimal.
Yeah.
So it's not like I have 6 hours to be able to do treatments on guys. So it's, it's becoming efficient in treatment, doing as best you can, doing the maximum you can. And I think the other part of it is education, helping teach you guys how to take care of your bodies well. Because that's another big part of it. So, it's, and you touch another part of it. It's also, for lack of a better word, the decompression component.
Huge, especially in tournaments. Yeah.
I tell people a lot of times I feel like I'm Switzerland, because I'm that provider that's between the coaches and the athletes.
Yeah.
And I from both sides, and I just, a lot of times you're like, oh yeah, right, yeah. And then coaches like, what do they say? I don't know what they're talking about. And you guys are like, what are the coaches saying? Nothing. They're not saying anything. But again, it's just being able to give people the ability to talk.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times just hearing themselves makes things a lot better. It creates a lot of continuity, and it gives me a real good insight into what's going on with them too.
I'm curious, and this wasn't one of the questions I had planned for you, but I'm curious as you're talking, how, obviously in light of the Me Too movement and really, and Larry Nassar and a lot of like ugliness around doctors and ATCs and medical professionals in the Olympic and Paralympic movements. There's just a lot of bad things that happen, and it's just like, it's terrible. That's what the Safe Sport came about, and now it's it's implemented in every sport that's involved with the USOPC. I'm on a committee that governs some of that with Safe Sport and helps to create some of the content. But I'm interested in your job with us, and us, for most of us, for quadriplegics or have disabilities that are more severe than more severe than most people's in the Paralympic movement. And how does a medical professional navigate that? Because I know a lot of times we're talking about when we're trying to make up the adaptive equivalent for Safe Sport. I said, hey, listen, I need to be touched a lot to be able to get tape or belts, or like there's so much that goes into our sport because of the disabilities that we have. And how does the medical professional kind of just navigate that whole space with environment?
It's, and the episodes and incidents you talk about have been significantly troubling to our profession, to a lot of professions. Fortunately, it's a very small number, and because of people. And again, I give kudos to the people that have come forward to bring this to light. And it's, I don't know, I don't have the answer of how do we stop it, but I guess the part that I've always thought of, and the way that I was mentored as a professional, is that as a medical professional, and again as an athletic trainer, I'm not your friend. And I think that becomes some of the issue. When you're with a program, and again, when we're at training camp, we're there 24/7. You see and hear a lot of things. And I think a lot of people get in trouble because they forget the line. We can talk, we can have fun, we can do things, but there's got to be a line where I'm not your peer, I'm not your friend, I'm not your colleague. I'm a different entity. And again, a little bit of that same goes with, I think, even with coaches. The reason I've always had that mindset is, I have to be, again, that neutral person.
Yeah.
And maintain some of that neutrality. I think it's easier for me to maintain my professionalism. It's hard, not saying you can't have compassion and empathy for the athletes you deal with, or your patients, but you have to have that line about this is where it is. Because there'll be that time where, we get that moniker of the Grim Reaper. or you have to tell an athlete, no, hey, listen, you can't do this. Well, I thought you were my friend. No, I'm not your friend.
Yeah.
I'm not your peer. I'm here to help you get better.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times when you look at some of these situations, that line has been crossed.
Right.
People forget that line. And again, you get a guy like Nasser, who's obviously a sociopath.
Yeah.
You know, he took advantage of that situation.
Right.
Significant. And, you know, I think as people have to, you know, really reflect and do internal looking and say, what's my job? What's my role here? How do I handle this? And, you know, you do it every day.
Yeah.
You have to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think, gosh, it's such a weird space now because of people that just did horrific things and took advantage of just awful. But we're gonna lighten it up here because that's a deep conversation, and then but a needed one, and I know that I speak on behalf of everyone with our program. But I mean, there's never a time that we don't feel safe with you, except when we're watching the Red Sox in your room because we tend to get a little angry. And there's a story there. I forget what year it was, but it was the year that they won the World Series, right? And their last World Series, I think. And David Ortiz is up to bat.
He's horrible.
And I remember you were dealing with Aoki as well. I mean, you're always dealing with Aoki. And you're looking up at the screen, the TV, and Ortiz, he's just horrible. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't. And he hits a grand slam, home run. They end up winning the game, and I'll just never forget that moment. I'm like, you pessimistic. Oh, my God. Yeah. Don't even cheer. You cannot cheer for that. It was just awful.
Hey, it was great. It was amazing. It was reverse psychology, and it worked.
Yeah. Congratulations.
That was it.
Anyone that knows you knows you're a big Red Sox fan. So I've got some Red Sox trivia for you.
Oh boy, oh geez. Hope it's before 1950.
Some of them are pretty old. Some of them are pretty old.
All right, we'll see.
All right. So number one, 3 of these Boston Red Sox players entered the Baseball Hall of Fame as left fielders. Which Hall of Fame member did not? Okay. We got Ted Williams, Carl Yastrzemski, Jim Rice, and Bobby Doerr. Or Doerr?
Bobby Doerr.
Yeah.
Doerr.
Bobby Doerr. Yes, that is correct. He was a second baseman. Played for the Red Sox from 1937 to 1951. Man, right in your wheelhouse. Right in your old wheelhouse.
I saw his first game.
Shut up. Okay. Number 2. Very easy one. Who misplayed a ground ball in the Game 6 of the 1986 World Series that allowed the game-winning run for the Mets?
More importantly, who put the runner on base? Calvin Schiraldi walked the guy, so it's his fault. There you go.
Don't walk. Hey, walks come back to kill you.
That's it. It was Calvin Schiraldi's fault.
Yeah. So, first baseman underneath the legs.
I don't remember his name.
Yeah, right. That poor guy. It
was horrible. And you know what? He was a phenomenal. Unfortunately, we just lost him a year or so ago too. But he was a phenomenal guy. Great player, great player. But
man, we need John Wayne trivia. Hey,
Marion Morrison.
Oh man, yeah, he ended up playing for the Cubs. He ended up. He has Hall of Fame numbers. Like he was a really good baseball player that just happened to be remembered for, keeping the curse alive.
One play, right?
Yeah.
One play.
Okay, so I am the man who invited this curse upon the unsuspecting fans in Boston. I purchased the Red Sox in 1916, and then in December of 1919 made the worst trade ever in baseball, where he sent Babe Ruth to the New York Yankees for $100,000 in promissory notes and a $300,000 loan. Who am I?
Yeah, well, in New England, we're not allowed to say his name, so sorry.
That's a great cop out right there.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't recall his name. I know he was the owner, and he's one of those people you don't want to think about.
Yeah.
I'll give him that.
Harry Frazee.
Yeah.
Harry Frazee.
And where did he make most of his money?
He was a theatrical producer.
Broadway, very good. Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
you read that. You read that well.
I read that. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I didn't know that. Come on. We're here to tell the truth in this show. Hey, when Carl Yastrzemski retired from the Boston Red Sox, only one player had more home runs than him on the team. Who was this splendid splinter?
Number 9, in your hearts. Great fisherman and a Sears Roebuck spokesperson, Ted Williams.
I heard he hit 400.
Who?
Ted Williams. I heard he hit 401. Yeah.
401, yes. In 1941.
Man, great player. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So the Boston Red Sox MLB franchise was started in what year?
Ooh. I want to say 1903. No, that was the last time they were in the World Series in 1903.
Yes, they were. Yep. World Series in 03.
I would probably say 1897.
1901. 1901. Their little bonus answer. What? Bonus answer, they were not called the Boston Red Sox. They were called the Boston
Red Stockings.
Americans is what I have here.
Boston Americans?
Boston Americans. Well, here's the deal. Here's where I'm getting it. I'm getting this from funtrivia.com. So take it up with them if that's not right. Okay.
I'll write them a letter.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Who managed the Boston Red Sox to the 1967 American League pennant?
Dick Williams.
Oh, man, that's fantastic. I figured that'd be right in your wheelhouse. All right. Babe Ruth was sold, like we talked about in the 1919 season. That year, he also set a new home run record. How many home runs did he have that season?
With the Red Sox or with the Yankees?
So 1919 was the last year he was with the Red Sox.
So I would say, I don't know the exact number. I'd say he was probably in the 20s.
29.
Yeah.
They sold him to the Yankees. The next year he hit 54.
Well, he played in a bandbox. Yankees.
He was. Yeah, especially as a left-hander. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so true. All right, last question here. 2004, big year for the Red Sox, if you don't remember. Which Red Sox pitcher won Game 3 of the ALDS, Game 7 of the ALCS, and Game 4 of the World Series?
2004, I think it must have been Bloody Sock Kurt Schilling.
No, I would have thought that too.
Wait. 2004. Yep, don't have it.
Derek Lowe.
I was going to say that.
Derek Lowe.
Yes,
I'm not a Red Sox fan, obviously, so I probably would have said Schilling first, and then I guess if someone would have maybe guessed again, I would have said Martinez. But
no, I remember it was Derek Lowe. Yeah. He had a good year.
Wow, good deal. Yeah, you crushed those between the 50s and 60s. You're crushing those bad boys. That's for sure.
I'm old. All right.
Hey, you talked about not being a player's friend and how important that is when you're talking about medical things or talking about whether a guy can go out and play or not, or a girl can go out and play or not. We always talk about this, and then we talk growing up in high school football and rub a little dirt on it, or we got ice, or blah blah, and coach is like, are you injured or are you hurt? And I think that question always comes up: are you injured or are you hurt?
Yeah.
How do you take that question as a professional?
That's a great question, because I think it's important that athletes understand their bodies, how their bodies work. But a question I always give back to an athlete, if they say that to me, I said, so if this was a game, could you play? So a lot of it is mindset. And I think the other part of that is we don't teach and we don't learn well about our body with with regards to pain. Is it painful or is it discomfort? And again, it's where that mindset is. So what I try to differentiate is I put it, give the athlete the ability to give input about their ability. Is it functional? And again, can you move it without extreme discomfort? Being functional. Yeah. Is it going to be sore? Yeah, it's going to be sore. So being able to understand that differentiate. But if the clinical signs that I see, swelling, dysfunction, nerve, abnormal, movements, then's when I usually step in and say, okay, you may really want to try and do this, but you're probably not able to.
Yeah.
The other part of that too is that can they do it now? Are they going to create more injury? Again, so is it a practice or is it a game? So there's a lot of components. So what I've always tried to do with athletes is, like I said earlier, help them learn about their body, what their body can do, what's normal, what's abnormal, and use their. So again, if it's their, let's say their right elbow, have them use their left elbow as their teacher. So this is what it really hurts, but this is what it should feel like. Can you do that? So a lot of it comes back to having the athlete engage themselves in the activity versus just telling them what to do and or how it should be. So because again, it's a learning process. And I think by doing that, you get a little more credibility with your athlete because they see that you are trying to help them and prevent further injury. I think, I have seen colleagues in a lot of situations say, "Oh, geez, they're hurt. They can't play." Well, you haven't even done an evaluation. How do you know they can't play? Well, I saw what they did. Well, you know what? No injury is the same. Every athlete is different. And there's all, it comes back to motivation. Is it the first day of training camp, or is it the gold medal game in the for the worlds? Yeah. There's a lot of factors that go into that. So it really is, giving the athlete the ability to have some say and helping him do it. You say you can do that. All right. So it's your elbow, do 10 curls. What do you mean you can't do 10 curls? And how are you going to be functional?
Right.
I think that's how I like to approach it.
You brought up credibility, and as I've been on the team for a long time, and I think a lot of guys and girls, and throughout any sport, and you've probably seen it over and over again. You're doing this a long time. And athlete comes in and says, and you go, "Well, what's the matter?" And they say, "Nothing. I'm good." Or I just I'm a little aches and pains. I need to play. I need to get back out there because that's our mentality. Like we want to go out there and play. Like that, we want to be on the court, and that's our mentality. How do you gain that? You talked a little bit about gaining that credibility, but how does that relationship in a professional way kind of morph into the athlete coming in, knowing that they can be safe in telling you how they feel? Like, hey, I got an injury. This is exactly what's happening. I think I can play, and that's what I'm coming in there going, dang it, Jim, I want you to tell me to play type of thing, So what do you do in that situation?
Well, I think like I said before, I think it's listening to the athlete, educating them, and giving them the options. Here's what can happen, because the other part of it, there's no absolute.
Yeah.
And even you as an athlete, think about the injuries that you've had. They all are different. But it sounds horrible, but the more injuries you have, the better understanding you have about how things work. You don't get credibility by dictating to athletes what they're going to do. There's probably a point where you have to come in and say, listen, this is not in your best interest. Again, you're also dealing, in our situation, you're dealing with adults. You need to give them say, you need to give them input, but they have to buy into the decision, because if they don't buy into it, you definitely aren't going to get credibility.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times too, you have to have the willingness to let them go and fail. You know what? Here's what I think is going to happen, but you have to figure it out. And then hopefully they go out and say, oh yeah, you know what, you were right. I can't do this.
Yeah.
And again, again, you don't want them to fail to the point that they're going to get significantly injured. But a lot of it, I think, comes back to educating them about their ability to perform now and to perform later and how to get better. And again, hopefully they see me as an advocate versus a detriment.
Yeah.
So, and I think the medical professional just says, no, you're done for, you're out for a week. And again, back in the day, years and years ago, when I was a young professional, that was like the mindset. You sprain your ankle, you're out for 7 days. That was what we did.
Yeah.
And again, now hopefully we've learned that as you deal with active people, like you said, they want to be active. How do we help you be active? And if you can be active at a level that's still productive. A lot of athletes, athlete thinks that they're always working at 100%. Well, we know we don't. We know that's not true. So if you can help them be functional at 80% and they can still participate, then they can still, be functional and they can still give, help out.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. I like empowering the athlete, which is huge. Because the athletes, you want to have a choice. And you just you trick us into making it our choice, but it's really your choice, basically what you said. So great. Yeah, I get it. Hey,
well, I have to do that. I have to deal with the coaches too. So
that's a whole different level. Yeah, whole different level. What do you mean they can't play? Well, what do you mean? Anyway, we won't go down that rabbit trail. What do you think the most important aspect from your point of view makes up an elite athlete?
I think to get to be an elite athlete, I think that the one consistent component is dedication. I mean, you can have skills, you can have, a lot of the physical components, but if you don't work at it all the time and you don't dedicate yourself to that, those small goals to get to those larger goals and work on the small things that make you better, it's that work ethic, it's that dedication. Because you've probably seen it, and I think a lot of athletes have seen this. You've seen, athletes that are phenomenal athletes.
Yeah.
Their skill set and their physical prowess is remarkable, but they don't have the desire and the dedication and the compassion. I think those are the components. One aspect I don't think we've put enough emphasis in, especially in younger athletes, is that mental conditioning. How do you mentally condition to stay dedicated, take care of yourself, and improve versus just work at X amount? Because it's a grind. It's not a sprint.
Yeah. Well, that's the big problem with youth sports. That's the big problem with youth sports right now, because up until 10, they don't keep score or something like that. And like these kids want to know who's the winner and who's the loser of the game. And it's like, come on, you got to teach these kids what that, hey, it's okay to lose and how can you get better. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, one of my strong educational tenets is that we don't learn through success, we learn through failure.
Yeah.
I would tell students, if you got an A on an exam, did you go back and see why you got an A? If you got a D or an F, you were studying your butt off. The same thing, when you lose a game, what do? You analyze the game to figure out, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? How do I get better?
What's the most underrated aspect of an athlete staying healthy that's overlooked?
Sleep.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, we've kind of known it for years. I think it's starting to come into its own a little more. We've talked about rest, we've talked about recovery, but we don't really see that at the elite level. We're seeing it a lot more. We're really seeing we see how it becomes more important. But for average athletes, we don't see that recovery. We don't see that rest. Athlete burnout, physical and mental burnout. But it's that recovery and rest component that's, I think, really key in giving your body the chance to get better, but also for you as an athlete to process what is going on. And if you don't have that time to do that, it's very difficult to get better.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Kind of moving into, I want to talk a little bit of just about obviously what's at hand, the pandemic, everything going on.
Mhm.
Our population, are we susceptible more or are we not? Are we high risk? Probably. Um, how can we stay healthy? How can this community stay healthy during this? Is it something that we need to make sure that we're taking extreme caution with? What does that look like for the rugby community?
Well, the bottom line, I think, is the word I tell people it's compliance. Who's complying with some of the guidelines that we know are keeping people safe? Wearing a mask, social distancing, you know, however you want to phrase it, disinfecting, cleaning, we focus on hands, but there's a lot of other factors that go into that. Um, and if we had, and then some of the studies that are coming out are really remarkable. They're saying even if 70% of people were compliant to those components, the virus could be put in check very quickly. And again, it's all about infection control, and we've never really had to do that because most of the things we've been in contact with, we could take care of. This virus is such a unique beast, a unique identity. We've never been exposed to it. We don't have any protective mechanisms to it. And we have to be able to isolate it so that it goes away. Now, again, people say, well, when the vaccines come out, it's going to be great. It may help, but we're still going to have to do some of these protective components to isolate the virus and protect ourselves.
Yeah.
And, wheelchair rugby athletes are at a higher risk, because they have multiple comorbidities, whether it's a spinal cord injury, diabetes, lung function, kidney function. I mean, there's a lot of other aspects.
Yeah, we're pretty crippled.
You're you're not crippled. You're just different. But again, your immune systems are compromised a little more, so a virus will take advantage of that significantly more. And the unfortunate component too is in most athletes or most people with disabilities, there's not a lot of really good medical research out there about their normal capacity versus when they get into disease states.
Yeah.
And that frustrates. That's the kind of part that frustrates, I think, a lot of the medical community, because we can't put into some actions. And here's some really great guidelines that we can use that we know they're going to be safe, and these people are going to be better protected. We don't have those yet.
Yeah. Well, and we're starting to see examples of what to do and what not to do within professional sports. The Major League Baseball. I love watching baseball. I love seeing baseball back, even though it's weird to see no one with fans. But you got the Marlins situation going on, and it's like, okay, is this a ticking time bomb? Is this not going to work? Are they going to, is the season going to finish? Who knows? And then you get the NBA, and they're in a bubble. They're all in Orlando, all in one place, quarantine. It seems like it's a safer situation as long as guys aren't busting out of the bubble and going to frequent establishments. They shouldn't be frequent.
Right. Yeah.
What would that look like? Is that something that you've thought about from a rugby community standpoint with the national team, or if like or just going off of the hypothetical bubble of the NBA and then the circus of the MLB, because that's
well, I think you bring up a great point. And what's the big difference between those? You have one group that is isolated, protected, and they're going to be able to be safe. Versus, and again, the one part they're not doing is traveling. Versus Major League Baseball, I mean, yeah, they're isolated when they're in the park, but the travel component, because now you're becoming exposed to other people who, like we talked about, are not compliant. The virus is going to be there. It's not like you. And again, if we could show people where the virus is, it would be so much easier. So the concept of a bubble or an isolation component, it's been talked about in a lot of areas. A lot of other countries have talked about how do we protect this group of people from the infection. And again, it's isolation. You can isolate them so that no one else gets in contact with them. So you really maximize their efficiency, maximize their health, and you protect them. Um, the bubble concept makes sense, but can you do it? The NBA, they got more money than whoever. They can do
more
it.
money than us.
Just
A little bit.
I don't think the NBA's had a T-shirt or a bake sale in a while. So
Kelly Gumber needs to get on that.
yeah.
Get involved.
Right. So I mean, if you get to a point where you can get a group of people and you can really isolate them and make sure no one else is around, I think your ability to be safer is there. Again, I think the challenge for a lot of programs is going to be the travel aspect. How do we travel and be safe?
Yeah, that's an interesting one there.
Yeah.
Just I look up in the air, you see a plane, and I mean, you're used to traveling a lot, so am I, and it's like, man, what's that going to look like when we get back there? Who knows? Especially when you have, for us, like, we got to get on an aisle chair, and so you have people handling you, and are they, so it seems like a can of worms right now, but let's wrap it up here. Let's go with let's wrap it up with a couple of questions that I always ask people. The first one I don't always ask people, but yesterday was National Scotch Day. You've been known to have a drink of scotch every once in a while, maybe a little snip. What is the best scotch you've never had? What is a bottle that you're like, man? And I'm not talking about an $18,000 bottle. I'm just talking about. I mean, you can go there. You know what? It's your question. It's your answer.
Well, thank you, but I am not a whiskey snob. I think the one that I would like to try, what I've always liked to do is taste whiskeys that we can't get here in the United States. So as you know, in our last trip to England, I was very fortunate to find a little establishment where I could purchase about a few bottles of whiskey that you can't buy here, just to be able to do that.
Francis, stop it.
Yes. But one I've been trying to find, and again, cost is a little bit of an issue.
Sure.
Is a 30-year-old Macallan.
30-year-old okay.
Yeah, it goes for about $9,000 right now. My wife, I don't think my wife is watching, so I haven't bought it yet. But I like trying just a lot of different whiskeys. In Scotland, actually, Japan has some tremendously good single malts. There's a lot of bourbons and whiskeys in this country that I really enjoy. Yeah, she's not listening. But again, the part that I enjoy is that it's a pleasure. It's not a drink. It's a sip. It's an experience. It's a dram. It's not. I think Americans have the wrong concept, when they're just chugging it. So, but it's just an experience. Different flavors, different histories, different cultures. Yeah, I like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, your favorite memory in wheelchair rugby? Favorite memory?
My favorite
moment, favorite memory?
Wow. The first would be,
besides when I said, "Hey, Dirty," besides when all of us have been like, "Dirty, I got something that's bothering me on my butt. Can you come take a look at it?" I know that's usually your favorite.
That's second. Watching our team on the gold medal podium in Beijing.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to say I'm an emotional guy, but that was a tough one because I've been with the team long enough. We've seen what we've gone through, how hard it was, and just how things really came together for that group of guys.
Yeah.
I have a lot of really good memories. Well, I was thinking, I was talking about this with my wife the other day. We don't, we don't. It's hard. I've been doing this a long time, but I have so many just tremendous, great memories. I can't think of, honestly, I can't think of any time that it wasn't fun. It wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
Plus, just, and again, just being able to represent the United States is such an honor and a privilege. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Great answer. Well, we're gonna wrap it up with rapid fire questions. A little rapid fire. Here we go. So,
right.
What's your favorite beverage?
Iced tea.
Iced tea. All right.
Yeah.
Sweetened or unsweetened?
Unsweetened. Have to be.
All right. I thought I was going to say. You have a guilty pleasure TV show?
Guilty pleasure TV show?
Yeah.
Ooh, not really.
Okay. You have a celebrity crush? He's not watching, you said, so I mean.
Sophia Loren.
Sophia. Favorite flavor of ice cream up there in Vermont next to Ben and Jerry's?
Yeah. Well, coffee, but coffee, buzz if it's Ben and Jerry's.
Oh, coffee, buzz. Okay, that's good to know. Oh, hey, come on.
Lowe's.
So it's not Home Depot, apparently.
No, well, they're big Trump supporters, I know.
Thank you for being on again. We have big fans in Brazil, Dirty. Big fans in Brazil because of you. Because of you and Frenchie. That's why. Because of you and Frenchie.
I loved Brazil. Brazil was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Absolutely. I wonder who Frenchie's celebrity crush is. Frenchie, put it up in the comments who your celebrity crush is, because we haven't had him on the show. We're trying to get him on the show. I've got him on as a panelist for the Bear versus Silverback.
Oh, when's that?
That was with Lee. That was a couple episodes ago with Lee.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right. Who do you admire the most?
Who do I admire the most? Living or dead?
Either one.
I don't, not necessarily a single person, but I admire a person that is committed, loyal, honest, that is virtuous, is honest to themselves and is a helpful person. If I had to do one person in history, I think, honestly, I think it would be Barack Obama. I mean, he accomplished so many things in such a unbelievable environment and did some really great things, much to the chagrin of some people. But I think, he was amazing. He was an amazing president.
Yeah, absolutely. Sean Hannity.
Yeah, he's right up there. Yeah. And George Washington. Yeah.
What are you most afraid of? Are you afraid of anything? Is Dirty afraid of anything?
Am I afraid of? Yes. I'm afraid of letting people down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not watching Frenchie. He's not watching. There's no way. Yeah.
No. He's in class.
Yeah, he's reading a book or something. Yeah. What's your favorite movie?
Ooh. I would have to say one of two. The Searchers, which is a great John Wayne movie.
Okay.
And Shenandoah, which is a movie pre-Civil War with Jimmy Stewart about
Jimmy Stewart. Yeah.
The lives of.
Yeah, awesome. When I dance,
The Godfather's up there.
The Godfather, yes. Okay. When I dance, I look like
Gene Kelly.
I figured as much.
It used to be Fred Astaire, but I got a little slower.
I don't know what kind of answer I'm going to get here, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Who's the best NBA basketball player ever?
Ever?
Yeah.
Ever. That's a hard one because there's so many components. But if I would say LeBron James.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought you were going Bill Russell on me. I thought
he was. Defensively, phenomenal. Offensively, but LeBron James, and the game is so much different today too. But I think he does so many things so well, so often. Plus all the things he does off the court. It's just people. I don't know why.
Wait, are you really good at dancing? I didn't know this about you.
Hey.
This is the thing.
Hey.
Oh, okay. We're gonna have to, when we get back to camp. We're gonna have to have a little. We're gonna have to have a little dance off with you in the league.
Already dancing.
Yes.
There we go.
Yep. Bron. I'm at 30 out of. I thought I was gonna get like Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and you go LeBron James.
Well, you said it all the time, but okay, back in the day, who was the best player? I would probably say John.
There's no lake show, Alex. There's no lake. See, you're speaking to the people right now, and they're just coming out of the woodwork. I thought all these people were taking a nap, and all of a sudden, I guess what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to wean you off the Kool-Aid of Chuck Aoki and Eric Newby. That I think you're drinking it a little too much Kool-Aid.
Who?
You.
What do you mean?
Yeah, it's just they're filling you full of this Chuck Aoki, LeBron James stuff, and Eric Newby, LeBron. You know that Eric Newby's had 5 favorite teams throughout.
Yeah,
it's just
that's right. Yeah. Well, again, if I had to pick my favorite player of all time, my favorite player of all time would be John Havlicek.
There we go. Yeah.
See, John Havlicek. Larry Bird's a close second. But John Havlicek.
I think people forget how savage Larry Bird was.
Yes.
He was a trash talker.
And he was a little dirty. Dirty.
Yeah.
At times.
Little games in the chip. Little games. All right. Hey, I think we need to get off the show because now we're getting Cookie's talking about Kareem being the best Laker ever and all we're not getting
best Laker. Jerry West.
It's come on now. All right, we're starting to get it. We're starting to get an infighting here. Dirty Jim Murdock, thank you so much for being on the show. Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate the candor and the talking. I'm just going to plug Giving Games one more time. Giving-games.com. Go check it out. Anything helps for getting us to Tokyo next year and throughout the next year of this season. So thank you so much for that. And then if you guys could just head over there, Giving Games. And again, it's not supported by the government. It's something that has to be fundraised through the USOPC. So we'd love for that that help there. So if you guys could giving-games.com, as well as texting over to all capitals Giving Games to 243-725. And thank you guys very much for that. We will be on Friday again at the normal time, 11 a.m. Jim, thank you so much for being on. Really appreciate it. Everyone have an awesome day. Reach out if you need anything. I know it's a lonely time for people that are in isolation. Reach out, ask questions. I know Jim is always approachable with questions on ATC. Flood his inbox, flood his Facebook, and we'll be good to go. So thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it.
Twitter.
Yeah,
Joe, thank you for doing this. You're doing an amazing job. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
appreciate it. Have a great day.